But anyway, I will say that I agree with what you're saying right there. Like the problem is, before we get to the group questions, I have one other question for you about this, because I posed this to a bunch of coaches at different media days the last couple of weeks, and I would like to get your guys' thoughts, because this is the problem. You have a league, or a league that is the NCAA, that is this body that is supposed to run this sport, that really doesn't run it as efficiently as it can. I mean, Dan Gavin's doing the most he can, being the VP of the sport, but overall, you need to make these guys and gals play big showpiece games in the non-league season. Some teams do it. Some teams carry that flag. I mean, Duke, Carolina, Kansas. There are teams that say, hey, it's our responsibility. We need to do this, and they operate as such. That's helpful. Starting the season on Monday night against Monday Night Football, probably not the right thing to do. And that's like, there are things like that just don't make that much sense to me in terms of garnering attention. So let me ask you guys this question, because as I said before, to Mike's point, the metrics are baked once you hit January. We're trying to gain more attention in the November-December period. By the same token, teams are improving more than we've ever seen November through the rest of the year, because you got all these new players, new teams. They're getting better. But if your metrics are kind of baked as a league, by the time you hit January, it's hard to really show improvement and help change your stature. What would you guys think if, and McCall, we'll start with you as a former coach here that might want to weigh in on this. So some coaches were on board, some push back a little bit. To have more league games played early, so it generates the normal rivalry, at least some of the league games that are old rivals and have been around for a while, in your league season, in the November-December timeframe that maybe some fans get excited about, have some awareness about, and you can promote, and you have the same media partners. And then non-league games more in January and February, where you can build these made-for-TV events at campus sites once football is completely over, and it gets you to step out of league play. We saw Illinois and Duke do it last year, granted at a neutral site, but it used to be more common. We used to see that, in 10 or 20 years ago. So McCall, I'll start with you. From a metric standpoint and from an attention standpoint, if you could build these things out better, do you think that would help us in the non-league season and in the league season?
Dallin, I don't know if it'll help in the non-league. I mean, college football is going now, to January 25th or something like that. Okay. So around that point, I don't know, but I think something else has to be done to create more buzz with what we're doing in November and December. Like it has to be done. Playing league games there, it could get fans excited. There's no question about it. So I mean, getting creative, I love the idea. I love the idea to get creative and say, this is how we're going to create more excitement around college basketball in November, December, because everybody's playing. I mean, the ball is getting tipped up on Monday. And I totally agree with you just in terms of starting the season on Monday Night Football, in the fall. It doesn't make a ton of sense. But we've got to do something to create more buzz around the sport.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
I think it's a fool's errand to think that you can go up against football in any of this. And I think to me, it starts with media days too. I don't know why we're having media days in October. I mean, I know people are like, well, football is in August and September. Football's in October. And if anything, it's ramped up even more at that point. So to the point of the schedule, the reason why, because again, I think you always be up against football. 1, 2, I do think, and McCall, you can probably speak to this definitely more than I could, but I just know from being in those locker rooms, coaches like that gradual build up to that kind of inflection point, that turning the corner of, the new year to get into conference play. Now, the Big Ten plays 2 conference games in December. Every team does, but I think they like that gradual build. And honestly, like exhibition season I like the exhibitions, don't get me wrong, but it's just another way for these schools to say, no, we have played big games. They were just big games that didn't count. So,
that's a great point.
Michigan plays St. John's and Kentucky plays Purdue, and it's like, well, now we can dial it down a little bit for our first 3 or 4 non-conference games because we just played Kentucky. So, that's a component of it too, because these were not happening secretly, yes, but they were not happening as a whole. 4 years ago, 3 years ago, it started as like a charity thing.
The Goodman was releasing all the box scores. Were they really a secret?
No.
Well, they were supposed to be. But to Mike's point, you couldn't say like we just played them as much. It's like you weren't talking about it. Now you're out there being like, here's what I'm breaking down my film, and here's what we saw, and here's what you saw, and we're treating it like a regular game. So it's a great point, Mike. Jarrell, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think Mike kind of hit it on the head, and that was one of my thought process points was that Matt said we need to get more creative. How are we able to get more creative with some of this preseason stuff that they're doing? And it's not to knock that, because a lot of the stuff is for a good cause, and they're the proceeds are going to certain charities or different endeavors and things like that. But how we getting more creative in that aspect than trying to do something to jump off to college basketball season? It's going to be hard always to compete with football, but just another viewpoint and thought process that I had. What about the schools, sort of like the Big East type schools, that type of conference where football isn't king. A lot of the schools, basketball is king. So, maybe scheduling something to doing more games in between schools like that don't have the dynamic football programs that where all the fan attention is going to be there until after the new year, or just at the end of the day buckling down, man, and just everybody for the greater good, strapping their boots on and scheduling tougher games. Why not? Especially with the way things are trending. I know this is a little bit off topic, but I mean, damn, they're about to there's going to be 90 teams in the NCAA tournament here soon. So I think all the schools that are worried about, their metrics and things like that at the early points of the season, I think you'll be okay at the end of the day. Like, man, go see where you are early on in the year, play a game that makes you uncomfortable, get guys out of their kind of comfort zone against high-level talent, and kind of get a better feel. I feel like, and Matt can speak to this as well, too, you kind of get a better feel or gauge from what you're coaching as well in that regard, too, once you kind of you've been in a real war with teams that you're going to be seeing during the conference level too.
Well, Jarrell, I think it's an awesome point, and I'm not knocking MTEs. I think MTEs are amazing. I like the Battle for Atlantis, Maui, whatever MTE it may be. I think those are great events. But if we're trying to put college basketball on the map in November and December, home and homes, man, and don't be afraid to play them. Like, do not be afraid to play them. Go play them. Not that the Champions Classic's not a great event. I'm not saying that. I think those are great events, but UConn playing Kansas at Kansas. Talk about a game. Talk about a game. Like, everyone's tuning in. If you're a college basketball fan, you're tuning into that game. 1,000%. The rival between Kentucky and Louisville. Everybody's tuning into that. So can we get more of that? Florida, Arizona to start college basketball season is an awesome game, but it's in Las Vegas. Can you imagine if that game was at Arizona? Like a home and home, like play more home and homes. And listen, as a guy that was a head coach, and I get it, like you're concerned, we got to get off on the right foot. We got to make sure that, we have some momentum playing these other games. But we're also trying to create more excitement around college basketball. You play a Tuesday night game in November and you put Kentucky on the floor against a Duke, people are tuning in. There's no question about it.